innovation ecosystem and startup supporting mechanisms in higher education institutes.
Can you listen? Hello?
Yes, ma'am. We are able to hear.
Yeah.
1 minute.
Put it here. Put it here, no problem.
Yeah, can you?
No, put it here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the main function of this IIC is to conduct various innovations and entrepreneurship related activities prescribed by central MIC in time-bound fashion, identify and reward innovations and share success stories, organize and periodic workshop seminars, interactions with entrepreneurs, investors, professionals, and create a mentor pool for student innovators. The network with peers and national entrepreneurship development organizations, create an institution's innovation portal to highlight innovative projects carried out by institutions, faculty, and students, organize hackathons, idea competitions, mini challenges, etc., with the involvement of industries. So I will welcome and I will request on behalf of organizing committee, Dr. J.P. Singh sir, the President of Institution Innovation Council, BIET, to say a few words.
Okay, thank you. Am I audible to you now?
Yes, sir. You're audible, sir.
Okay, fine. So, how many people have joined in now?
86, sir.
86, good number. So today, respected Dr. Narhari Sastry, he is the Director CSIR NIST Jorhat. Dr. Papiya Datta, Dr. Gayatri, all the participants who are connected with this seminar. I am very happy today that the seminar of converting prototype into a startup has been organized today, and we are very lucky that today we have our speaker, Dr. G. Narhari Sastry, whom I know him the last so many years, but very fortunate today I am sharing a seminar with him, and we are grateful to you, sir. Sir, you have given your time for us. So today in this seminar, the lot of topics will be covered. Earlier we have under this Institute Innovation Council, we have covered lot of topics, business model, we have topic how to finance, what type of business models are there, how to start our company. So some CA has given the thing today. I hope lot of how to develop a prototype of your startup will be discussed in details. Sir has lot of experience. Definitely will share all his experience. What software, hardware are needed for this product. If your product innovative product or is a product innovative product, it is a reverse engineering product. What type of products you are planning for that? If your product is there, what type of materials, what type of tools are needed for that? It is a full scale model you are going to develop, or first you are going to do a miniaturized prototype. If it is a prototype, what will be the cost? How to build up your team? How to raise funds? How to convince your investor to give a all this matter? I think it will be discussed in very details by our eminent speakers. We know any product to be started, first we will go for the hand sketch prototype, where we can draw our ideas on the paper. Then we will go to computer for modeling. So this type of concepts are there. Now he will definitely discuss more about the science, STEM, this science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. We know any product, anything has come from the science. Like then the science again, then we will how to experiment with the science. Then we go for technology. Like our Newton's law is a science, but we go for the steam cycles. We have gone to the auto cycles, diesel type, they all are the technology. Now how to convert into the cycles into engineering. and then all this to realize the product. Then if you go to mathematics, you will validate all these things, because anything engineering, technology or science cannot be without mathematical validation, cannot be a successful model. So definitely this in this seminar today, it is very useful seminar, lot of topic will be discussed. Definitely our students will get a in-depth knowledge about the entrepreneurship, development of a startup. I request all the participants to take advantage of this our lecture today. And without taking much time to this, I congratulate all the participants who are present here and ask the request sir to start the lecture today. Thank you. Okay, we can start now.
Thank you, sir, for welcoming and introducing the importance of IIC and this lecture. And now I welcome Dr. G. Gayatri for introduction of our today's speaker, Shastri.
Thank you, sir. Before I introduce about our today's speaker, I'm really grateful and thankful for Shastri sir, because he is my PhD guide and my mentor, who has guided me in each and every aspect of my career. So I take this privilege to read about him. It's really an honor for me. Dr. Shastri has done his PhD from University of Hyderabad, and after a couple of postdoctoral stints, he started his independent career in 1997 at Pondicherry University and moved to CSIR IICT in 2002 to head Center for Molecular Modeling. He is a professor of ACSIR in chemistry and life sciences disciplines. Dr. Shastri's research interests are theoretical and computational chemistry, computational biology, computer-aided drug designing, chemoinformatics. Dr. Shastri has made fundamental contributions in the area of non-covalent interactions and developed several important concepts in this area. His group is interested to apply the data science approaches and also developing indigenous software, molecular property design suite. Several of his computational predictions have seen experimental realization. Besides publishing independently, the group also has active collaboration with several experimentalists and strongly believe that the theory-experiment interplay is indispensable for the progress of science. He has guided and mentored a number of doctoral researchers and postdoctoral researchers and has more than 275 publications in international journals to his credit. These publications received over 8,700 citations with an H index of more than 47. Dr. Shastri is a J.C. Bose National Fellow in 2015. He was awarded with Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Prize in Chemical Sciences in 2011, which is considered as one of the highest prize for science and engineering in India. National Bioscience Award that is offered by DBT in 2009, DST Swarna Jayanti Fellowship in 2005, BM Birla Award in 2001, BC Dev Memorial Award in 2009, CRSI Medal 2011, and Alexander I Humboldt Fellowship also. He has developed more than 300 delivered more than 300 invited lectures, which include talks in national and international conferences. He was a visiting professor at Institute of Molecular Sciences, Japan, LMU Munich, Germany, Jackson State University, USA, and Kyushu University, Japan. He was elected as a Fellow of National Academy of Sciences, Fellow of Indian Academy of Sciences, Fellow of Association of Biotechnology and Pharmacy, Telangana State Academy of Sciences, where he is the founder fellow, and Andhra Pradesh Academy of Sciences. He is a regular reviewer to some prestigious journals and also in the editorial board of several journals. Dr. Shastri's major research contributions to science include developing an indigenous software for drug discovery, which I just mentioned, that is MPDS, fundamental contributions to the concept of cooperativity of non-covalent interactions, several important contributions in the area of buckyball chemistry, aromaticity, pericyclic reactions, hypervalent structures, electron transfer reactions, organic reaction mechanisms, and reactive intermediates. Design of selective and effective enzyme inhibitors on a number of targets, and also developing QSR, pharmacophore, and structure-based models for selectivity, permeability, and efficacy. Currently, his main focus is on employing artificial intelligence and machine learning methods to integrate with chemoinformatics, bioinformatics, electronic structure calculations, and molecular dynamic simulations. This integrated approach will be employed in developing disease-specific web portals, delineating disease biology, and working in the area of healthcare. He played a major role in the drug discovery hackathon, which was held recently during the COVID era, where it is conducted by MIC, that is Ministry of Innovation Cell. With these few words, I would like to welcome Sir, who is the eminent speaker, keynote speaker for today, to give his lecture. I hope I covered almost all the topics, which are almost everything which is related to Sir. If I missed anything, I'm really sorry, Sir. I'll be adding later on, and then I'll definitely do it. Thanks a lot, Sir.
Thank you, Gayatri. It's always a pleasure, as well as sometimes too much to handle when your own student introduces you. And I really thank the Bharat Institute of Engineering and Technology, Dr. J.P. Singh ji, the principal, as well as the president of this IIC, and Dr. Sanjay Kumar Suman and Dr. Papiya Datta, and of course Dr. Suprabhat Sarkar, along with Dr. Gayatri, for giving me this opportunity. Actually, opportunities are there everywhere for people to explore. It is extremely important for us to realize that we in India are bestowed with lots of opportunities, and when we have tough times, we should try to see what is that we have, what are the strengths that we have, rather than what is that we don't have. So today I just wanted to talk to you very casually, and if you have some questions, I will be very happy to take those questions. The topic of today's discussion is about how you convert a prototype into a startup. This is something of very, very high practical value, or a very, very high practical interest. So to convert a prototype into startup, what do you require? This is something you will have to see, right? So I will try to share my slides, which is usually a challenge. So I will try to do this now. Okay. So is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. And I just wanted to see that there are different types of people who will try to do great things. And there are people like Stephen Hawking who excel in the knowledge creation, new knowledge creation, that the theories or theory of everything, and you all know that somebody at the age of 21 who was declared incapacitated for his life, and many people profess that this fellow will die within a couple of years, has lived almost for more than 50 years and then remained as probably one of the most intelligent scientists and a great scientist who has a profound impact not only on physics but also the science popularization and science itself in terms of advancement of knowledge, where Stephen Hawking have created his own niche in terms of creating knowledge. However, in contrast, there are people like Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Twitter, a large number of people have come. Some of them, many of them are dropouts from the universities and try to develop technologies which is a little bit relevant to what we are doing, prototype into a startup. And probably they are all very well represented by this practical genius, Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs, who has created this Mac, Apple Mac, and many revolutions have taken place in this era. And when he started, at one point of time, he was thrown out from his own company. And he came back and did wonders. And if someone wants to really see that how to really do something spectacular in modern times, they can try to look at Steve Jobs or Bill Gates or our own Sundar Pichai, Satyam Nadella. There are quite a few people who have worked quite a bit in technological advancements. You can also look at Thomas Alva Edison, who has more than 1,000 patents and have several companies were started by him, although he was taken out from his school at a very young age, less than 10 years, and home tutored by his mother. So, technology development is something which is very important. Knowledge for advancing research is also very important. And all these things, both knowledge as well as technology, is embodied by a great man called Louis Pasteur. The Louis Pasteur is on your right-hand side top corner, where he is seen as somebody who did profound basic research as well as profound applied research. So this is something which is very, very important. One is knowledge advancing research. The other is technologies in the global context for sustainability. And if you want to really be truly a great person, Louis Pasteur is there. He is in the corner, which is probably described as mission-inspired advanced research. But what are these guys? The guy with specs and then putting both his hands at his back. He just wanted to really take research as a profession where they just wanted to do some research, maybe some applications, publish some papers, do some technologies, but they are not very much inspired by doing great things. So knowledge for empowerment is very important for generating employability.
Sir, excuse me, sir. Sir, have you shared the screen because it's
I
not in
have
the...
shared the screen. You are not able to see?
No, sir.
Okay. Or Lijo, can you help me? You are able to hear me, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But you are not able to share the screen. Okay. So this is the problem with the technology. If you know how to use it, this is great. And if you don't know how to use this is not that nice. How
Yes,
about
sir.
now?
Yes, sir. Now it is.
So I am talking about these. Now it is full screen also, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sorry about that. So this is the guy, Stephen Hawking, and it is about knowledge advancing research. And Steve Jobs will be technologies for the sustainability and new products. And this is very well suited for your converting the prototype into startups. Whereas if you want to really do a mission-inspired advanced research, this is described by Louis Pasteur. But the guy who is very much relaxed wanted to take up research as a simple job, like a bank job or something in a grocery market. I'm not saying that they are not very important, but they just wanted to do this without a lot of focus in it. Then it will be something which is neither useful to that individual, definitely not useful for the country. So if you want to really do basic research, still you have to expand, and this corner is fine. You don't have to worry about applied research. But the applied research might come after several years. I just wanted to tell you that Srinivasa Ramanujan the Great, he has done such a fantastic research which is not considered as applied research. But 50 years after his death, some of the lost books of Srinivasa Ramanujan has come out where they were responsible for several technologies. And similarly, about 100 years back, there is a field which has started called quantum mechanics. So people try to explain, people try to explain the classical mechanics, explain several things with classical mechanics, and they could and they could not explain. And when they could not explain, they used quantum mechanics. And most of the people thought that this is just a pure research where there is no application value. So if someone wants to say that this may be categorized as basic research, which is not useful. But now, after 100 years, many of the technologies are based on the principles that are having its roots in quantum mechanics. So what does it mean? Some point of time, people do not know its value. But if you are creating new knowledge advancing research, maybe after several years, this may be useful. Now, actually, 20% of the world GDP is based on the principles that are laid on quantum mechanics. And the most famous example is electricity. When Michael Faraday has discovered electricity, people have asked, what is the use of electricity? Then Michael Faraday has explained that probably I cannot explain what is the use, but a time will come where you can earn a lot of money by collecting tax on the usage of electricity. That is the vision. That is the confidence. That is what requires for us to generate new knowledge. Once you generate new knowledge, that will be great. But on the other hand, there are plenty of opportunities to create prototypes by existing knowledge. This is not bad. Steve Jobs did not create new knowledge. He tried to use the existing knowledge for the development of prototypes. Discoveries and inventions are creating new knowledge. Innovation is applying this new knowledge that is created to solve practical problems. So this will be extremely important, and knowledge is absolutely important for empowerment, either in creating employability, for partnership, or better health and well-being, which is very important. Especially everybody realizes that how important is wealth. It is not health is wealth. Now everybody realizes that health is wealth. There is nothing else which is important. Better sustainability. This is very essential. And to do that, we need to generate the knowledge and we need to utilize the knowledge. That is very important. So the people like Louis Pasteur, who try to do advanced research with a goal that is called mission-inspired advanced research. This is very important. So what does it mean? I said that the title of my talk was tentatively Stuff Matters in STEM, Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics. But STEM, I would like to say Science, Technology, Engineering, and Medicine. Now, medicine also has become extremely important as a part of ST, the research, right? And probably mathematics is, without mathematics, you cannot do any science. You cannot develop any technology. So this is very, very important and definitely engineering, right? What does it mean? What does stuff means? You need to have strength in fundamentals. For example, our principal, Dr. J.P. Singh, has mentioned about Newton's laws, which form foundation for classical mechanics. And similarly, we have postulates of quantum mechanics, which will form foundation for quantum mechanics. And similarly, you have Boltzmann distribution, many other things which will form foundation for statistical mechanics. Similarly, you have fluid mechanics. There are many, many theories, principles which were there, like laws for electricity, laws of light, laws of whatever, waves. So all these things are important, and as BTech students or MTech students or whoever it is absolutely important that we have to have a good knowledge about our basic principles. Many people think that, oh, this is not useful and this is useful. What will come in exam? Can it go in the choice? This particular mentality is extremely dangerous for anybody who wanted to take themselves seriously. You have to realize that if you get a BTech degree or an MTech degree, you are supposed to have some good knowledge about every particular subject that is there in that period. So if you are not interested in learning, if you are just interested in marks, this is something which is very much detrimental to you. So the result is we have so many people who have 95%, 98% marks, and they have absolutely no knowledge on fundamentals. My dear friends, I just wanted to tell you that none of your marks or grades or ranks will help you unless you have a proper knowledge, unless you have a proper grip on the fundamentals. For that, you need to have clarity of thought. For example, sometimes you may not be good in fundamentals, but at least you should know what you are doing. Some people may not be able to get good marks, but they are very good in problem solving. So what is extremely important if you want to develop a prototype into a startup is that you need to be able to identify the problem and solve the problem. For that, what is required is clarity of thought. Sometimes we see a large number of highly educated people. They are all confused. For everything, they are confused. And at the same time, we have come across a number of people who did not have any education. They are very clear about what is required. When there is a problem, they come up with solution. For example, if you give any of your motor vehicle to a mechanic who might not have even seen it once, they will be able to fix your motor vehicle because they probably have a good knowledge about how to hunt the problems, identify the problem and solve the problem. And you probably give the same thing with a BTech, MTech or even PhD in automobile engineering. And I'm sure that he requires to call a mechanic who might not have even proper education, even he might have stopped at high school or even below that. So clarity of thought is extremely important. And when we want to do a particular project, your marks will not help. Your degrees will not help. Nothing will help. What will help you is your ability to complete that project, your ability to do things. So I try to put STEM, I replaced M as medicine. Science, technology, engineering, and medicine is a very, very important areas. They are all very similar. I just wanted to tell you that this division is fortuitous. There is no division. For example, somebody who is extremely talented in technology, he is the person who probably have a profound influence on medicine. Somebody who is extremely good in engineering has a great influence on science. So one has to realize that we should not be so much worried about whether I belong to science or mathematics or social sciences. As long as you have the scientific temper, nothing prevents you from doing what you want to do. Interdisciplinary sciences are very important because people think that there are different disciplines. But if you want to solve a problem, unless you have an expertise in different branches, it will be extremely difficult for you to follow what is going on. So interdisciplinary is very important. And sometimes people say cross-disciplinary. I can try to define and explain what they are, but these specializations, super specializations are all important. But I always believe in working without barriers and disciplines. You just have to see what is the problem that is there at your hand. How does it matter whether you are a scientist or an engineer or a doctor, or you don't even have a proper education? There are people who are just having a very, very bare minimum education and they have solved great problems. So I just wanted you to realize that developing the scientific temper is essential. And if somebody goes after degrees, if someone goes after getting higher marks without any focus on understanding them, this is not good. I'm not saying that you should not get good marks. By all means, you have to try. But you have to give more emphasis on understanding the fundamentals. So if you look at what are the paradigms for practicing science, it can be applied for engineering and technology also, and mathematics or medicine also. Earlier, the first paradigm for any scientific thing is to conduct an experiment. And when you conduct an experiment, you generate new knowledge. And that will form the basis for science. And if you have a question, you conduct an experiment, and the experiment should give you an answer whether your concept is correct or your thinking is correct and things like that. And once you have this experiment, you will be able to generate new knowledge, and that will give you a scope for you to develop some theories and concepts. That is the second paradigm. So what is the first paradigm and second paradigm? It's very difficult. It all depends on how you view it. But first and second paradigm are experiment and theory. But if someone who is probably with a strong physics or mathematics background, they say that probably it is theory and experiment, whatever it is. These are, ever since scientific temper is there, or there is a branch called science, you have both experiment and theory, or theory and experiment as the first two paradigms of science. Recently, there is a new paradigm which is based on the fact that you don't have to do experiments, you don't have to have a strong theory, but you can construct a model, and that model will be able to give you insights to solve a particular problem. So whatever that you want to do, the scientific basis for developing a paradigm is to solve the problems. So modeling has emerged as one of the most important paradigms. People used to call it as, if experiment and theory as the two legs of a tripod, the modeling is the third paradigm. And what has happened is, now the tripod has become like a table where the fourth leg has come in terms of the data science. Everybody talks about artificial intelligence and machine learning. What do we mean by machine learning? There is a work that a human being will do. If it is possible for us to train a machine to do the work and develop an algorithm, that is nothing but machine learning. And in some primitive way, this can be treated as automation. And I don't have to tell you the importance of automation for engineering students. Automation is based on the data that is there. and based on a particular principles that you will generate by the data. So machine learning, artificial intelligence and deep learning have emerged as strong theoretical computational sciences approaches because the data that is coming is huge, voracious, huge amount of data is being generated. So there are several V's which to describe that is the volume of the data. For example, if I wanted to have all the information about the whole genome of a human being, it is a huge data. Now the COVID crisis is going on. If you look at the whole genome of one of the strains of COVID, the data is huge. But when the virus is getting mutated, you will have different other sequencing data, genomic data that is available. It will run into several gigabytes and terabytes, even petabytes. So how many such genome sequences you can identify? You may have to identify maybe hundreds in a village and thousands in a district, lakhs in a state, and crores in the country and other countries. So how much data that is coming? It's a huge amount of data. The volume is huge. The velocity means the rate at which the data is being accumulated. That is also huge. And the veracity, variety, variability, value, there's several things that are there in data. And if you get all the data itself will provide you a way of solving big problems. So this has become very, very important. So first paradigm is experiment and second paradigm is theory, which can be interchanged depending on your perception. But third paradigm is definitely modeling. And the fourth paradigm, the latest and the most effective paradigm now is data science. That is machine learning, artificial intelligence and deep learning and related things. Whatever branch that you are doing, whether you are doing mechanical engineering, civil engineering, computer science, science, medicine, whatever that you want to do, you cannot avoid data science. Forget about science. Social science also, data science is important. Fashion design, data science is important. And people are trying to use data science in any branch of a human endeavor, right? So it's very important. So how do we promote the scientific temper? Knowledge about the structure and behavior of the natural and physical world based on facts that you can prove, for example, by experiments. So this can be seen as science. But what do we mean by scientific temper? The science is probably, it's a knowledge about the structure and behavior of the natural and physical world based on facts that you can prove by experiments. So what is scientific temper? Scientific temper is the curiosity to develop that knowledge, which you can use to understand this world, whether it is a natural world or the world that is created, so on and so forth. Opportunities to develop conceptual understanding, bridging from prior knowledge to scientific concepts, and encouraging metacognitive questioning. Questioning is very important. Asking right questions, asking early questions is essential for developing scientific temper. The scope and responsibility, I just wanted to tell you that there are a large number of areas where opportunities exist. It's all up to individuals to create the opportunities. Nobody will give you an opportunity. At the most, they will create a right platform, but it is up to an individual to create their own opportunities. It is extremely important for people to realize that you cannot blame anybody for your failure except for yourself. And similarly, you cannot really understand that you have to understand that you cannot really depend on somebody for you to be successful. For you to be successful, you have to depend only on you, but try to make use of the every good opportunity that is given to you. Try to meet people who will be able to impart better knowledge, or who will be able to tell you that how to solve a particular problem or challenge you, right? And this Abdul Kalam statement that if India aspires to become developed and self-reliant one day, now it's very important to realize that how important it is, this Atmanirbharata, or self-reliance. Then India must understand that the scope and importance of research, particularly in the area of basic sciences. This is very important. We need to ensure synergy between research and product development. And when you are actually in education system, when you are doing BTech or MTech or in that area, you will have to have an extremely high levels of respect for basic science, because basic science is like foundation. If your foundation is not strong, you will not be able to develop products, which is an applied science. For example, if you want to convert the prototype into a startup, your basics should be very, very strong, because in the absence of basic science, when there are challenging changes which are inevitable, when they occur, you will not know. For example, you know how to make a product. If this product is not in demand, and you will have to make a modification to this product so that it will be a sustainable one. What is required for you is not just the applied science. You should be able to have a good knowledge in basic science. So Atmanirbhar Bharat opens huge support from public and private sectors. What does it mean? You have to realize that there are several opportunities, and people keep trying and they may not get. And they should not get disappointed. They have to look back and then see how to get it better. I just wanted to tell you, for some of my friends, that in the United States, the success rate of the projects that are submitted to NIH is around 8% to 10%. Whereas the success rate of projects that are submitted to our DST, DBT and other organizations is about 40 to 50%. What does it indicate? It indicates that probably it's a little bit easier, or we have a little bit more of a liberal policy to support. There are quite a few people who think that they're not getting the right support. But when you actually go a little deeper and analyze how they have written the project, how they are defended, what is the novelty, what is the originality, whether it's worthwhile or not, these things are not very clear. So if anybody has a good project with very clear objectives, and if it is written well, it's very unlikely that it will be ignored, right? Sometimes getting the right recognition or people to acknowledge may be delayed, but if you are really doing well, whatever that you deserve will never be denied. Delays will happen. Some people may get early, some people get a little later, but for achieving that, you need to have perseverance. You need to develop a good attitude where your passion should take over what you are doing. This is very, very important. And there are quite a number of areas where you can convert these prototypes into startups, and startups are increasing healthily for India. And young people should really look at it in a good fashion. And there are a number of startups that are recognized with the government of India, and as you could see, that they are very evenly spread out throughout the country. And this has started only about a decade back. And I'm very, very sure that these things will increase. But you also have to realize what are the challenges that are there. Statistics and data, the fourth paradigm, will speak more than anything else. One has to realize that 80% innovations die at early university stage in India. What is the reason? Actually, it's a very, very interesting conversation with some of the people who are doing startups. They are quite successful, but still they wanted to leave that startup and then try to get a job. Because most of the people, they think that they wanted to get a permanent job and startup is too risky. Startup is not sustainable. So that may be one of the reasons to give up. Of course, for example, some of the startups are not so sustainable. Even those startups which are sustainable, people think that, no, this is not a very secure job. And you may be surprised to know that a number of people, a statistically significant number of people, have given up startups because they are not getting married. This is not a joke. This is a reality. If someone says that, okay, I'm having a startup, they are not getting the suitable spouses, whether it is boys or girls. Whereas if they say that, oh, I have a permanent government job or some job is there, then the suitability is much higher. So what does it mean? Socially, people are very much against this startup because it started just now. Who are the people who are very much against this startup? In most cases, more often than not, it is their own family members. Parents, more than 60% of the parents strongly oppose their children to take up startup. They will be very happy if their children will try to get a job. Oh, I wanted to do some startup and I will do something, because they don't understand. And this is very important. And the parental pressure is probably to be taken positively, and it is the responsibility of the young people to convince the parents that these startups are very important. And my dear friends, if somebody has a very, very good attempt at startups, maybe they fail. Unless you fail, it just means that you don't have a good project to succeed. Fail a couple of times, let there be a problem. But many times, if you work on some good startups, good innovation, and if you develop this quality of entrepreneurship, India is a great place. Huge market, 1,300 million people. And these people should be able to... Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Actually, there was somebody who unmuted themselves, so it was like a small disturbance. Yeah, please.
You can ask them to ask the questions at the end. Okay, so this role of startups is recognized by people, and it takes some time before this sets in. And I am sure that within the next 10 years, startups will be one of the most effective ways to lead one's careers. It is much better for people to have their own startups, their own small little innovation or company, and you don't have to do great research. So this is like whatever prototypes that are there, you will have to understand how to look at it, get the venture capitalists, or there are so many schemes that are there, and you need to have a business model which is sustainable. And if such a thing is there, definitely the attempts like our session on prototype validation or converting prototype into startup will be definitely be possible, but people should be very much interested. There will be pressures, and those people who are able to withstand the pressures, they will only succeed. So startups or even science or scientific temper is extremely, extremely important for Atmanirbharta. Atmanirbharata is a great thing. And the importance of this self-reliance cannot be overstated than the current times. Scientific temper, people with the ability to think independently. All of us have the ability to think independently. Understand and practice scientific methods in daily life and avoid simplistic reasoning. This is very important. Actually, somebody says that most of us are born genius only to become idiots after going to school. We are curious when you are born, and it is important to nurture this curiosity. The childlike curiosity has to be nurtured. We have to ask questions. We have to ask why, how, and what. If you are doing science, you should always ask a question, why? For everything you have to ask this question. Only when you ask this question, you will unravel the nature. This will lead to new discoveries. If you don't ask questions, definitely you will not get answers. And if you want to really take up engineering, you always have to ask how. How can we do it? Because scientific principles are there, but how can we apply this science? And technology is what? What is the scalability? So this is very, very important. So discovery, invention, and innovation are represented by them. And the differences between science, engineering, and technology is again a fortuitous division. One should not attach too much importance to that. Okay. So I just wanted to tell you that about a year back, or slightly more than a year back, this particular idea of our Honorable Prime Minister of Atmanirbharata is extremely important. Actually, there may be some slight problems in implementations, planning, but the concept itself is a great concept, and we all have to take it in the most positive way. And it is essential for us to pledge that we work towards Atmanirbharata. Our intentions are important. And if you want to really do a great service to the nation, or you wanted to have a clear purpose for your life as an engineer or a technologist or a scientist, you have to have some sort of a clarity and a bigger goal. And I'm sure that all of us love our late President of India, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. As a scientist, he might not have discovered much, but as somebody who tried to do something for the country by bringing large teams of people together for Atmanirbharata, is arguably one of the greatest scientific leaders that India has seen. So we have to look at different things. I don't want to get into this phases like business, farmers, agriculture, so on and so forth. But I just wanted to spend a minute on 5 pillars. The first pillar is economy. We always have to keep this in mind. For Atmanirbhar Bharat, we have to be economically independent. And the second pillar is infrastructure. Our roads, our transportation, our water, our healthcare system is also an infrastructure. And we need to have vibrant demography. Our system should be in place of different types, because these 5 pillars itself, one can find out that there are lectures for a few days. And we always have to keep in mind what is the demand and what is the supply that is existing. What is the gap? What is required is more important. Then we will be able to see, when we know what is required, we will have some sort of a clarity, and that is also extremely important for the country to be economically self-reliant. And for achieving this, absolutely without any doubt, we should have a strength in basic science. Basic science is extremely important for any nation to be strong in the long run. Sometimes we don't know what is the use. As I talked about Srinivas Ramanujan's stories, this has become useful 50 years after his death. Or quantum mechanics or anything. When you are excelling and when you are creating a new knowledge, it will not be apparent when you are creating that. But maybe after some time it will be clear. And similarly, the nanotechnology, biotechnology has played a very important role in the economy. And Atmanirbhar Bharat can be put into effect once the Atma within us is acknowledged. So, we also have to see the science for society, strategic sectors, atomic energy. There are so many strategic sectors are there. The UN 17 Sustainable Developmental Goals are worth looking at, as it is a lecture which will be followed by more detailed lectures. I'm not trying to go in more details, but I just wanted to say that if you want to do a good science for this society, active collaborations is absolutely important. If someone is lying in their own silos, if they don't want to collaborate, you may not be able to do good science for this society. Scientific temper is absolutely important. Whatever you do, even if you are not a scientist, even for a day-to-day living, developing scientific temper is extremely important. Actually, it is there as a part of our constitution. Article 52A or something which is popularly quoted. Our people who did the constitution, Dr. Ambedkar and others, have said that it is the fundamental duty of every citizen of India to inculcate scientific temper. Consciousness and creativity is absolutely important. It is extremely important for us to be conscious about what we are doing. And only when you are conscious about what you are doing, there is a good chance for what you are doing will result in some creative ways. And excellence is important. Sorry, there are too many else there. So, excellence and relevance. But along with excellence, we also have to see whether it is relevant or not. And similarly, novelty, originality, and utility, these are very, very important. And every aspect of it has its own strengths and its own issues. But if you want to really excel, it is extremely important for you to focus on excellence, relevance, novelty, originality, utility, creativity, and most importantly, you should be conscious about what is happening. If you are blind in to things that are there, you cannot become a good scientist. A good scientist need to be always be aware. We have to re-look at different stories, like Alexander Fleming's penicillin story. You all know, probably some of you know, and some of you may not even know. Alexander Fleming has gone on a holiday and he left a bacteria on the table, and then when he came back, he has seen that a particular chemical is killing that bacteria, and he came to the lab before the guy who cleaned the lab has come, and when he came, he has seen it. But if he is delayed, if the person who cleans the table has come, he would not have seen anything. But he came before, and not only he came before, he is very curious to know what is happening. When he saw that this particular penicillin is having some antibiotic property or antibacterial property, he is able to get some great idea based on that. So it is extremely important to be conscious and to be aware of what is happening. Actually, it's very easy for us to be proud of our past. And there is nothing wrong in being proud of our past, but this will not help us. We have to live in reality. We have to live for the current times. But if you have any doubts that we Indians are not able to achieve anything just because in India nothing can be done. My dear friends, I just wanted to tell you that even 100 years back, when British is doing all atrocities on Indians, we are able to have people like C.V. Raman, Meghna Saha, S.N. Bose, J.C. Bose, Mahabana Police, so many P.C. Ray, a number of people who are there, who excel. Now, in our independent India, we should not have this doubt. You cannot have Atma Nirbharata if you don't have Atma Vishwas. Atma Vishwas is very important for Atma Nirbharata. So, I would like you people to have a look at the Industry 4.0 or industrial revolutions. There were several industrial revolutions which are important, and this is essential for us to look at how you can make prototype into startup. Thank you very much. This is the gate of CSIR Needs Your Heart. I will be very happy if you have some questions, and thank you very much for listening. And I will stop here to ask any questions, if you have any questions.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for delivering such an informative lecture. And I hope the participants have understood how much important it is for the clarity of thoughts, our existing knowledge, and your ability to do things, and along with your passions for successful entrepreneur, as well as to develop some prototype to products. Now I will ask anyone of the audience, if you want to have any queries, you can ask. Anyone have any queries? You can ask, sir. Okay, I think it is very clear to everyone, sir, that yeah, it is a real tough situations and real passions required for developing such a prototypes and then creating a commercial products. And now I will ask Dr. Sophia Madam, our academic in charge for Humanities and Science Department, to deliver a vote of thanks.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning to the honorable guest. I am very honored to deliver the vote of thanks for this wonderful workshop. I first deliver my heartfelt thanks on behalf of organization to our guest speaker, Dr. Narahari Shastri, and also to the principal and the president of IIC and the ambassador of IIC, and for organizing this program, especially for students who belong to the science and humanities, the first year stage of BTech. Today, we've been hearing a wonderful lecture. We've been hearing about how this scientific temperament is very, very important for us to develop a prototype first, and then how our mindset of perseverance and clarity of thoughts, all those things, and like how taking a kind of risk, such kind of things are very important to convert our prototype into a kind of a startup venture. I think all the first year students, majority of you have benefited a lot from this lecture. I've been hearing how some kind of great innovators were home tutored. Now all of you are in the lockdown and you have lots of limitations, say some lectures, or you have a network issue, and all those things are there. But as you heard just now, not just your marks add up to the success of your life, but also your curiosity, also your foundation, and your everything, your passion. So I'm sure that after this workshop, you will really start to learn everything heartfully with passion, asking and having interaction with faculty members. And sir also spoke about the importance of machine learning and artificial intelligence for material science as such. So I want everyone to take this workshop very seriously and the wonderful contents. Sir said that no one will come to you and give you opportunity. So you will have to make one, and you will have to search people who are experts, and you will have to make some platform to meet people who are good at certain kind of field and knowledge expertise. So sir, we are very thankful that you actually being a very busy person, and you allotted some time for our young children, and you came and motivated us, and we would really like to work in this kind of direction, and we would like to really meet you again through such kind of platform. Thank you very much, sir. On behalf of the whole BIET family, we thank you very much, and I thank the audience for your active participation. Thank you, one and all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Gayatri. All of you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. We'll be posting the feedback and attendance link. Those who fill that, it will be counted as your attendance, and you'll be given a certificate. So all the participants, you can just take the feedback link. Will be there for another 5 to 10 minutes. So you can quickly fill in the form and then submit it.